From SF Land, this is Dorking Out, a podcast for people who love to dork out about movies, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and I'm just one stomach flu away from my goal weight. And joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Everybody gird your loins.
Because we are talking about 2006's The Devil Wears Prada. This is going to be so good. Margo has lots of thoughts and feelings about this.
I worked at Condé Nast for a while, so I have some gossip to share.
I'm excited to hear it. And you read the book too, right?
Yes, so I co-host a show with a woman who's also named Margo. She's Margo P, and it's called Book versus Movie. So we read the book and then we watch the movie and decide which we like better. And it's a Laura Weissmuller book from
something like that.
Weissberger, I think. I'm sorry. I've been reading her all afternoon, and her name just popped out of my head. I'm really sorry if she's listening. I remember when she sold the book. She only written 100 pages, and then she got multi-million dollars for the screenplay rights, like right away. And it was everywhere in New York. People were talking about it because she worked for Anna Wintour for just a year, and who is this person that she's writing about, and all this stuff. So I love this movie because the movie really is its own animal, and it's so, I think, accessible to anybody. Like, you don't have to be a New Yorker or know anything about fashion or magazines to really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that's true too. And if for some reason you don't know anything about The Devil Wears Prada and you're listening to an episode of our podcast where we're talking about Devil Wears Prada, you should stop this right now and go watch The Devil Wears Prada. It's stars Meryl Streep as the kind of Anna Wintour editor of a Vogue magazine, and Anne Hathaway is a college graduate from journalism school, Northwestern Journalism School, I think they say. And this is her first job. She's like the assistant to the assistant for Meryl Streep. And the assistant number one is Emily Blunt in one of her first big roles. And it also
just love her.
I love her in this. She's so, so good. I love her in everything, but she's like a big star. She walks out of this movie like a big star. She steals a movie from Meryl Streep. Who does that?
Oh, she's constantly in motion.
Yes.
You never see her character stand still except for when she has the flu.
Yes.
Every other time she's running around like a maniac. It's amazing to watch.
She's so great. And Stanley Tucci's in it as one of the fashion directors of the magazine. He's really great. Because he's Stanley Tucci.
Exactly. When is he not great?
Yeah. And then we got Adrian Grenier. Did I pronounce it? The guy from Entourage, that's what I call him, as Anne Hathaway's sad sack boyfriend, and Simon Baker from TV's The Mentalist, who plays like a kind of playboy writer type man about New York. Did you see this movie in the theater?
Oh, yes, I did. I was totally excited to see it.
Yeah, I read that this was like counter programming to Superman Returns. And
I think it did better.
It did way better, and nobody talks about Superman Returns, and everybody still talks about this movie. I mean, Meryl Streep in this movie is so quotable, and she's like such an icon in this. Like, that's all. That's all.
Yes.
Like, that's like her huge burn just like shuts you down. That's all. She's so great.
She's great. I mean, the thing was that with the book, the character was British because she is based on Anna Wintour, let's just be clear. And it is Weissberger, by the way. But she's always yelling and she's very imperious. And so people were kind of wondering, what's Meryl Streep going to do with the character? And she just she took a left turn and just made her very calm and decisive. And she never raises her voice, and she does, you know what I mean? She's just always together.
Yes.
And that's actually much scarier.
Yes. Well, I read an interview with Meryl Streep where she said she got that from Clint Eastwood. She said that Clint Eastwood is like that he never yells or raises his voice, and that he just almost whispers, and that everybody has to lean in to listen. And she said that makes him the most powerful person in the room.
I get it. I betcha.
Yeah. But then she said
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood is not funny. So
No.
the humor she took from Mike Nichols, which
Oh,
and
okay.
then she said the walk is all her.
I think she looks great. I love the white hair.
Mm-hmm.
I think she looks beautiful, and it's the clothing is incredible. Of course, it would be. We're taking place at a fashion magazine,
Yeah.
but they really get it right. Like, because I worked for fashion magazines, like the way the closets look and the accessories room, and everybody's really overdressed for work.
Yes.
Like they really do that at Vogue. I know this.
You said you worked for Condé Nast. What did you do for Condé Nast? Just out of curiosity.
I worked in the PR department, and I worked for several magazines. I worked for GQ and Mademoiselle, and then I was at Lucky magazine for a couple of years.
Oh, yeah. I remember Lucky.
And then I left to work at a couple other magazines, and I came back and I worked for the bridal groups. I worked for Brides and Modern Bride magazines, and then I got out of magazines altogether because the industry was tanking.
Yeah. That's me with newspapers.
Yep.
Like kind of floating around to different newspapers, and then at a certain point you're like, oh, this shit sucks.
Yeah, this shit's going away. I mean, it's hard it's hard to express like how powerful magazines were for a while there, and how much they set the trends. And it just doesn't exist anymore. I mean, there are magazines, and there's some magazines that do very well, but they tend to be very specialty, like specific. But in general, people just go online for everything.
Yeah, that's true. There's a really smart scene in this movie that I had forgotten about until this rewatch, where Meryl Streep explains why fashion matters to even someone like Anne Hathaway's character. She's playing someone named Andy Sachs, I think. Is that her name? Andy Sachs?
Yes. Andy Sachs.
Yeah, so weird.
Yes.
Okay, Andy Sachs. So Andy like is not into fashion at all. And actually she's kind of annoying at first, right? Because she shows up for the interview and she just, you see all these other people getting ready for their interview too, and it's all makeup and heels, and like they're measuring out their food and all this stuff, and Andy's like putting on chapstick and wearing this like frumpy sweater or whatever. And has no idea who Miranda Priestley even is. So basically I'm like, you're not a good journalist, Andy.
No.
You don't even know who the editor-in-chief is of the magazine you're going to interview at. What the fuck? You suck at your job.
Well, and in the book, she's very snooty about it. Like, she wants to work for the New Yorker. That's the whole thing she wants to do. And it's like, well, everybody has to start somewhere. And you make fun of a magazine like Runway, you can think it's frivolous, but they made money. Yeah. They made a lot of money. And there's a lot of people, and I like that scene too, because there's a lot of people that work in the fashion industry to keep it going. And it's an American product that we should keep going. And yeah, I really love that scene.
Yeah, so in the scene, she's explaining like how what they pick that goes into their magazines then kind of trickles down into like the fashion choices that we make, like when we are buying even like a sweater at like Target or whatever, like they have picked these colors that are then kind of watered down into like, the t-shirts and the jeans and the sweaters and the cardigans that we all buy on our level, quote unquote our level or whatever. And I just thought that was a really good scene, because then it shows like, I mean, fashion it's important. Like, I know it's easy to like make jokes about it and think it's just stupid and it's clothes or whatever, but it is like a whole industry. It does mean something. We all, like a lot of people, like me in particular, I like to express myself through my clothes. Clothes are part of who we are. Shit matters. So shut up, Andy.
All that shit matters. It's very, it's also, I think like only in the last 10 years or so, I think like, I swear to God, like a show like Project Runway really showed people what work is involved in creating garments and putting that together and seeing like the hard work that goes into it. I think that also had a lot to do with it. It's weird, like some of the reviews for this movie, I was going through them like I do. And, Roger Ebert wrote a very snarky review.
God, he's so dismissive.
Dismissive. And Entertainment Weekly, Lisa Schwartzbaum, who I normally really enjoy, I like her reviews. She calls it junky. Like, it's just junky pop. I know. And I think like people still weren't getting it, like how important it was. And it's going to be like 2 or 3 years before the September issue comes out, which is a documentary about Anna Wintour and Vogue September issue and why it's, and I remember working there, like it was the September and the February issues were huge.
Right.
But especially September, because that's all the fall fashion.
Yeah, I think Project Runway maybe came out like the year before this. So like this movie like kind of hit right at the right time. And do you just love the idea that somehow Anne Hathaway isn't thin and beautiful?
It's so funny.
They keep calling her fat.
Also fat, and she's a size 6. And she's
6
Anne
is the new 14.
It's like I know, exactly. But even then, like, you know, she makes a big thing of how she shrinks down to a 4.
Yeah.
Because they overwork her so much, basically. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of work involved, and there's a lot of like, you know, there's a lot of grueling tasks you have to do.
Yeah.
When you start out, but like that's any job, and if you're like working for like not just a magazine, but the most successful one out there, of course you're going to work hard.
Yeah. One of the things that drove me crazy the first time seeing this, and again during the rewatch, is Anne Hathaway's friends and her boyfriend. Worst. They are the worst. They are terrible. The whole thing is that Anne Hathaway has like basically stays at this job for a year. That's her plan, to stay there for a year, and then she can really go wherever she wants. She's going to have this on her resume. She's going to have this great reference. She's going to be able to get what she wants. She just needs to stick it out for like a year. And her friends are just shitty. Like no support.
One of them is Rich Summer, by the way, who's on Mad Men.
Yeah.
He's the only one who we guess we're questioning if he's gay or straight or whatever. He knows Miranda is. But our other 2 friends, one of them is works in art. Yeah. You know, it's installation, and her boyfriend's a chef. Those are very high pressure jobs.
Yes.
And when you're first working in them, you're working for hours, like overtime, no benefits, no pay, you know, no overtime, whatever. Like you're being abused and you have to work your way up. They should be like, the 4 of them should be like having drinks like, what did you go through today? Because you must be exhausted too.
Right.
Whereas they all look well rested, and you know, they clock out at 5. And what do you mean you got to work late? And that one thing that make me crazy is she brings all this free crap from the office, and that's thousands and thousands of dollars of stuff. The bag and the makeup and the electronics, and then her phone rings and they're all grabbing the phone, playing goofy with her.
Yeah.
And she could lose her goddamn job.
I know.
If she doesn't answer that phone. Like. Nobody cares. They just think it's beneath them.
Right. It drives me nuts that her boyfriend is like pouting that she like missed his birthday or whatever. And I'm like, what she's going through is actually pretty standard for like your first job out of college, like especially in this kind of industry. Like I you know, like I said, I worked in newspapers. So when I worked in newspapers, I missed birthdays. I missed things because I worked nights, I worked weekends, I worked long hours, I made no money. I, you know, would like go to meetings just because I knew there'd be snacks there because I was hungry. Like, you know, that's what you do in these kinds of jobs. And I'm fascinated. I was pondering this morning, like what if they reversed the roles in this movie? What if the movie was about Nate trying to like make it as a chef in New York, and he was working long hours and he had a demanding boss and he missed her birthday. Like I don't think he would spend all the movie like apologizing to her and his friends for being ambitious. And I feel like she does.
Well, and she'd also play it like, okay, this is your one get out of jail free card. I'm pissed about this, but as a chef, he would be working long hours. He's not home at night. He would be out working till 2 or 3, 4 in the morning. Right. Has nobody heard of Anthony Bourdain? I mean, this is how we learned all this stuff. I mean, he would be out. The art person, she would have to go to parties and like, you know, woo artists. Yes. And then she just gets an installation like out of nowhere, and she gets this huge project, and like they're all like 23, 24 years old. Right. Like you should be working. You should be working all the time.
I'm like, she should be dating that Rich Summer character.
Yeah,
like he's into fashion and seems a little bit more understanding.
but we're not quite sure about him, like what his deal
true.
is. It's not a very well written part. I mean, he gets who she is, but then we never understand what his deal is. But yeah, her friends are completely the worst. She could really just do without them and be much better.
Yeah, he drove me nuts.
He's such a crybaby. I mean,
such a
crybaby. You know, be proud of her.
Yeah, he's such a, yeah. Well, and he takes advantage. Like, he loves it when she's like wearing like the sexy stuff. He's like, oh, but then like she has to work late and it's like, not everything's about me.
Right. Or not everything's about your job. Like, shut up. You know what? At that age, it is.
Yeah.
She has a big ambition. So it's going to take a lot of work to get to where she wants to be. And that's where you learn all your stuff. Doing that shit work does teach you the job.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, that's part of it. So
it is. And I think the movie gets a lot of that right. And I wish the friends and the boyfriend had been, but I don't know, maybe we need that. We need them as kind of the marker so that we can see like what she's progressing into or something like that. I just think what she was progressing into isn't super terrible. And I feel like
that's the problem.
And I feel like she does take that position away from Emily a little bit, like in that she gets to go to Paris. But to be fair, Emily did get hit by a car.
Yeah, Emily brought the flu into the office, by the way, and thinking like, I have to work through this. So how many people did she get sick?
Yeah.
And Anna she doesn't want to, I keep calling her Anna, but she doesn't want to bring her with her to Paris if she's going to just be
coughing all over everybody.
Coughing on, being snotty and coughing all over everybody and stuff like that. Like, of course, and that's not up to her. It's Miranda Priestley's job to decide who goes.
Yeah.
And she's a very decisive person. And Emily would have to just suck it up and know it. That's just how it's going to be.
Right. How do you think New York looks in this movie?
Oh, New York looks beautiful.
Yeah.
New York looks great. Yeah. I know a lot of those office buildings too. I'm like, oh, I know where that is. Yeah. It looks great. And the fashions are beautiful. I just think she just looks, Anne Hathaway. Andy, I just love it I love a good makeover anyway. Good makeover sequence, I'm in.
Yeah.
Her transformation, like that whole scene where she's in one outfit after the other, like going to her, I just love, that's just like clothes porn for me.
Yeah.
I love how she looks.
She looks so beautiful. And I think it's easy to watch the movie now and think, yeah, of course Anne Hathaway looks beautiful. But like before this, she was primarily known for like, the Princess Diaries and, things. This was like kind of a first like adult role for her. And
it was a big deal.
Yeah. And she does look, everybody drink, adorable. She looks adorable in this movie.
Adorable.
And I love with the long bangs and just, yeah, the clothes are really, really, really awesome. Obviously.
Emily Blunt looks great.
Yeah. What's funny though is
blue
ahead.
eyeshadow.
Yeah.
She wears blue eyeshadow and she looks great. Like, how do you do that? Where's that trick?
I know. Emily Blunt she's so beautiful. And and she's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
In this movie and really touching too. There's a lot of really nice moments with the two of them in this movie that I really enjoyed and enjoyed even more this time during the rewatch of, you do form these relationships with people you work with, not just professional, but also personal. And I think especially two of them working together as a team and just that moment at the end where she calls her and it's like, I have all these clothes and I have nowhere to wear them and maybe you would like them, and like how touched she is, but she's trying to pretend she's not touched, and she's like, oh, well, this is big inconvenience for me.
I'm gonna have to get them taken in, of course,
because you're just a huge fat ass.
But then she turns to the new assistant and is like, you have big shoes to fill.
Yes.
But like I did your first job, like you start at the same level with people. Like, I'm still friends with some people, even if we don't have that much in common now. We were so supportive of each other, at the start of our careers when we were first learning how to work, like how to be at a job and how to behave and stuff. It's like it's almost like being comrades,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also hate, here's one more thing I hate, and then I'll stop talking about things I hate. I hate the scene where Anne Hathaway goes to the Friends art installation and Simon Baker just happens to be there. And he's flirting with her and she's like, yeah, whatever. And he kisses her on the cheek and her friend sees it. And then her friend is like, the Andy I know is in love with Nate. And
it's so childish.
Blah, blah, blah. And, you're changing and all this stuff. If that was my friend, I'd be like, thanks for the support, asshole. And also, you don't even know what just happened. You don't know anything about what's going on. And also, like, let's say I saw my friend, like, getting a kiss on the cheek from somebody else. I wouldn't just walk up and start accusing her of shit because I'm not an asshole.
No, first of all, he's famous. Like, everybody knows who he is. So
right.
He could, and she's in a very public job. So it could just be very friendly. Like, he's just like warming himself up to her so he could like get to know Miranda Priestley and be in those magazines. I mean, that's not what's going on, but the friend should be working. She's at her art installation. She should be talking to everybody and working and not ragging on her friend for a peck on the cheek.
Yeah, no shit.
It's so stupid. In the book, the friend is like a total head case and she's going to graduate school. And she becomes like, she loses a job and she has a boyfriend problem and she becomes this hopeless drunk. And then she gets into an accident and then the Andy character's in France and she's in Paris and everybody gets on her case like, you need to come home and take care of your friend. And she's like, she needs to go into AA, she needs to dry out. What do you want me to do? But that they give her, it's the same thing. Like, they give her a hard time and it's just sort of like, no, her friend made a stupid choice and she needs to pay the consequences.
Well, it sounds like she's a dick in the book too, then.
Yes, she is a dick in the book. Yes, especially even if all your friend did was give you that one fabulous handbag, you should shut the hell up forever. Because that's like a couple of grand right there. You could pay your rent with that bag if you needed to.
Yeah, well, and she knew enough about fashion that she knew that bag was like a bag to have and that it was hard to get. But you don't know who Miranda Priestley is? What?
Oh, it's just ridiculous.
Such a weird thing. Anyway, that's the last bad thing I'll point out.
Everything else is great.
Because I do really like the movie. I think it's super fun and it's such an easy watch and everyone's so great in it that's not her friends or her boyfriend.
There's one deleted scene. I don't know if you've seen this. You can get it on YouTube. But they're at the party where Emily and Andy are just kind of feeding lines to Miranda so she can go through. And there's this scene where Emily's going to let Andy go early so Andy can go visit her stupid boyfriend. And that's when Miranda's husband shows up drunk.
Oh.
And he's at the party. Yeah, and he's like, people keep calling me Mr. Priestley. Where's some food around here? It's really badly staged. And that's when Andy like talks to the publisher for our Condé Nast stand-in and he starts insulting that guy, Miranda's boss, basically. And Andy takes him aside and kind of smooths things over. And Miranda gives her a look and just says, thank you. Like this. Yeah. I know. And Miranda would never do that.
Right. No, she wouldn't. Actually, good job cutting that scene. Because we don't need it.
No.
Because we get the scene earlier where Andy delivers the book, which is the like magazine,
which is absurd, by the way. Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the Harry Potter scene.
Oh no, there's that too. But there's where she's delivering the magazine like every night. Someone's delivering the magazine to Miranda Priestley. Yeah, so that she could do her mock-ups and her notes as they're like working on that month's issue. And she kind of witnesses Miranda and her husband having like a spat, like an argument. And I think that's enough of a hint that the marriage is not okay. Like we don't need a moment with drunken Mr. Priestley.
Right. Just kind of like sloshing around.
Yeah. No, but I know it's the scene where Miranda asks Andy to get the unpublished manuscript of the latest Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Yes, is the one you were just thinking of.
And that's like patently absurd because we remember when these books came out, like nobody got their hands on them midnight, like it wasn't she would never be able to get it in an afternoon for sure. She doesn't know anybody in book publishing. Right. It's that and the whole scene where Miranda is stuck in Miami and they're having a hurricane and it's obviously a hurricane and she can't understand why she doesn't get her a plane. And
it's just a little drizzle.
Yes, exactly. It's like, so these moments were meant to say like, oh, she's always unreasonable, but then she's not always unreasonable. She's a very decisive person. So when she wants something done, she doesn't understand why it doesn't get done.
Yes. I do love the scene, though, where she's running around trying to get the book and she's just running around New York in these heels. And I was like, that's some serious fucking talent. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm like, I wore shoes with just a little bit of a heel last night and I'm regretting it this morning. Like,
my back hurts the next day when I wear them.
Yeah, I'm too old for that. And the shoes I wore last night weren't even like heels. They were like little heel. And I'm like, this sucks. I'm not wearing these again.
So I did feel bad. I love Stanley Tucci in this movie. And I think he's a grounding force for the whole thing. Like he is our epicenter, like everything. I feel so bad for his character when he gets screwed over in the end.
No, me too. I actually had forgotten about that part until the rewatch. Too. And I felt so bad for him because you really, really like him.
Yeah.
He's because he's Stanley Tucci and the part's just really well done. And he's really great. And I hate watching him get screwed over. It's sad.
He's so loyal to Miranda and it just breaks your heart when that happens. Yeah.
And Meryl Streep is just everything in this movie. She's just the fucking best.
She really is. And she was nominated for an Academy Award for this. I think it was like a 14th or something like that.
Very, very deserved. She's just everything I don't know why it's so hard. Why is everybody not prepared today? Or what did she say? Florals for spring. How groundbreaking. She's just so funny. Just so funny. I love her so much in this movie.
She's and then there's a scene. Did you ever see the September issue?
I have not.
Anna Wintour, there's a scene in there. It's fascinating, but Anna Wintour, because I knew these people, but she's at her desk and the editors are coming in to pitch her what they want to do for the next month. And so one woman is going through like, this is how it's going to be designed. And then we're going to have this here and that there. And Anna's like, yes, yes, yes. But you know, what you always do is so great. It's just like, it's kind of becoming the same thing over and over again, isn't it? I mean, how are we doing something different now? What are we doing? And the woman just shrinks. You could just feel her like becoming so hot and embarrassed. Like, this is the shit that always worked with her. All of a sudden she's turning it on me. What am I supposed to do? It's like you cringe for her. But at the same time, Anna Wintour's kind of a badass because she's so decisive.
Right.
I love a decisive boss. Even if they're mean, I prefer that to indecisive people anytime.
Well, then you know what to do.
Right.
It's like you don't have to guess. You're like, okay, this is what she wants. Cool. Got it. Bye. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll get it for you.
She's not going to be your best friend. Yeah, she's not going to be your best friend. She's not going to remember your birthday or anything like that. It's a job. She's work driven, but you learn a lot, and you put that on your resume. You can go anywhere.
That's true. What do you think about the scene where we get to see Miranda with like her armor down, and she's like no makeup and talking about her impending divorce, which apparently this is a scene that Meryl Streep asked for because she wanted to have that kind of moment to show that. She wasn't hard as nails all the time, I guess.
I totally get it as an actor.
Yeah.
You want to have that one scene where you show some fragility and see her humanity. And I think, it's Meryl Streep. She's great.
Yeah, she is. She's always great. I love it so much. What do you think of the end of this movie?
When she gets the job at the newspaper and Miranda calls the reference in. I just think it's amazing.
Yeah, I love it too. I don't know. There's this part though where like she walks away from Miranda and she like throws the phone in the fountain.
Right.
And then the next scene is like her trying to like kind of get back together with Nate.
I think she's just bored. I think that she's not employed anymore.
I'm like, because
I remember that.
Go ahead.
I remember that diner. It was the Mayflower Diner, and it's on Broadway, and I forget what, but it's one of those like overpriced diners, but everybody met there. It was just like an easy place to get to.
Hmm.
And I think she's just figuring out her next step. So she's got some free time. She'll meet him. He never appears to be working.
What kind of chef is he?
It's right. Exactly.
I hate that scene because then she says to him, "You were right about everything," and I'm like,
And he wasn't.
"No, you're not." And then he says to her that she did it for like shirts and shoes and belts, and I was like, "No, she didn't." Like, I just fucking hate that scene. I was like, I hate you, Nate. You're the worst boyfriend ever.
He's the worst boyfriend ever. And there are like, yeah, when it comes to the writing of the movie, it's missing some key pieces there. I think it's just there are other movies come along where we can have strong women and appreciate them. I think it's still there's still this thing like she has to still be vulnerable in some way, and that's her being told off by her boyfriend.
Right.
You know, you thought you were so great, but you did it for nothing.
Right. I do like that the movie's it's not about him and their relationship, really. It is really about her. And I like that at the end, she's clearly like more confident in her her abilities, but and her appearance. Like, she looks like she's not as like decked out as she was, obviously, when she worked at Runway, but like she clearly has found like her style. Like, yes. And there's a scene earlier too where like Nigel asks her like, who put that together for you? And she's like, oh, I did. I just threw it on, or, you know, really quick. And it's just a little thing that shows like she's figuring it out. She's figuring
who she is.
Yeah, exactly. It's just these little things that I don't know. I really related to. I think a lot of people did, and that's why that's why people still watch it. That's why people still talk about this movie. It's not just because Meryl Streep's fucking amazing, because she is, but it's also these little things that anyone after college can relate to, where you're trying to like figure out who you are.
Yeah, that's all it is.
By the way, in the her first day on the job, she's wearing this like plaid skirt and these like chunky like black flats, and like Miranda's like gives her the side eye, like the up and down, like that's all. Like, you know, I'm like, I would totally wear that skirt. Like, I would wear it right now.
Oh, absolutely. And I would wear those shoes because I fall all over my face. So I had a story for you. My friend interviewed for a job at Vogue, and she already worked at Condé Nast, and I don't want to give away too many details, but she was going to worked on the business side, and the magazines have edit and they have business. So the edit side is all the creative. The business side's ads and marketing and stuff. And so she was going to work for the publisher of the business side. And they said, okay, you have the job, but you have to meet with Anna. Anna has to give the okay. And so my friend happened to be very beautiful and thin and everything. So she had that going for her, but she asked one of the people there, you got to give me advice what I'm going to wear. And she was scared to ask because she thought they would say something snarky. Mm-hmm. And she said they gave her the most detailed thing to wear. She goes, okay, it's not an edit, it's on business. This is how you wear. You wear a white button blouse, not open too much. You wear a pencil skirt. You wear heels with a very thin hose, no bare legs. You have your hair in a chignon, in like a very low pony bun, and simple earrings and simple makeup. And that's exactly what she put on. She shows up and she sits across from the desk and she has this interview with Anna Wintour. She said it was like maybe 5 minutes. And she said literally Anna Wintour then switches her seat to the left where her computer screen is and just starts typing. And like my friend said, she sat there for 2 minutes before she realized like, oh, it's over. Like I'm supposed to just leave. And so she had to just kind of walked out of the room like, I think I got the job. Like, I don't know. But she felt like it was like the scariest thing she ever had to go through. She goes, but once I got through that, I felt like I could do anything. I could talk to anybody and be okay.
That is so funny. She didn't say like,
no,
that's all or nothing.
Thank you for coming by. Welcome aboard. Okay, very nice. Thank you for, that'll do now. Nothing. Like she literally just turned and faced her computer, started typing. And then there's a big story I heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm going to spread it anyway.
Yeah, do it.
But supposedly she did not have her own elevator, by the way. that was always the rumor. No, all the editors used to have, I don't know if they have this anymore, but at the old Condé Nast building, every editor had their own bathroom, which was really fancy. But you couldn't make eye contact with Anna or start conversations with her. You let her, she'll talk to you when she wants to talk to you. And if she's deep in thought, she doesn't want to be interrupted, which I get.
Yeah.
But supposedly there was an intern that worked there. They instructed her what to do. Anna Wintour is walking down the hallway, trips over her own feet and falls on her face. And the intern just walked over and kept going because she was terrified to make eye contact and talk to her. And then was told that you did the right thing.
Oh my God.
Like, they're like, no, nobody did anything. She got herself up and kept walking. Like, just don't make eye contact.
That is so
crazy. Like, yeah. But that's the person that they base this on.
Yeah.
She just has this kind of power in the industry.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, God, that's so funny. I don't think I would last in that environment.
Oh God, no, I'd have diarrhea every day. There's no way. I wouldn't be able to answer the phones. Even now, like everything I know, I wouldn't be able to answer the phones for this woman. I think it would just terrify. I know I would screw something up.
Right. I would have diarrhea.
I would not. My stomach couldn't handle that.
That's why they're all size 2s.
That's exactly it, by the way. Yes. They don't need the yummy tummy tea. Yeah, they just have this.
They all
it's just his job. It makes them crazy.
Have diarrhea all the time.
Those bathrooms are a mess.
That's why the editors have their own bathrooms.
Exactly.
They're like, I can't go in there and listen to all these people with their diarrhea. I need my own bathroom.
But supposedly, this is back in the day, in the 90s and then early aughts, editors got paid millions a year. They had a huge wardrobe budget, and designers would just give them clothes because, and then I remember this, they got a car and a driver 24/7, and they got, sometimes they would pay off that'd be part of their deal. They pay off their mortgage.
Wow.
They would get a nanny, but here's the thing. It's the golden handcuffs. You are expected to work all the time.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want you, there was an editor there that gave birth and then had a baby, and then 2 weeks later came back to the job and said she's just working part-time, but it was like 10 to 3.
Right.
It was like, because, and I was talking to somebody else about it, and they're like, that's what they expect. Like, they pay you millions of dollars, get a nanny, figure it out. You make money for us. That's your job. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because, I live here in San Francisco, and there's all these, there's like Google and Facebook and Twitter and, Pinterest and all these things. And they offer all these crazy things. Like, you see them online. You're like, oh my gosh, they have amazing, like, restaurants and cafeterias and childcare. And they, have all these like social events and blah, blah, blah. And all that stuff's cool. You think it's so cool. But the flip side of that is they do that because they don't want you leaving. You need to work all the time.
Oprah's a big example of that. Her Chicago office, they had a gym, but they also had their own little mail post office. They had all kinds of things there so that the producers could never leave. They never felt like they could leave. Like, that's, your job is just to help produce the show. That's what, the woman who was all about balance and life and stuff like that, she expected her staff to work like 12 to 14 hours a day easily.
Damn.
It's so funny.
Damn.
Yep.
Yeah. That job's not for me.
No.
I like to work 5 hours. I could lie and say 8, but it's not true. It's like 5.
Yeah, no, and I get more done.
No, I do too.
But when I started, I mean, my God, the overtime and the long hours, and so many times I did work for free because it was like, when I was at this PR firm, they were like, we have the VH1 Divas show, and somebody had, you need to help them out. And you were expected to be there like 8 hours on a Sunday night when it's freezing, and you weren't expected to take that Monday off. You were expected to show up the next day. They were free labor, and you did it because you did it. Like, it was your job.
Yeah. That's the same when you're working in newspapers. You go where the news is, and the news doesn't stop because you worked the night before. You know, you have to get up and still work. I covered stupid shit. I was at like school board meetings and stuff. And some of those meetings, one of them went till 4 a.m.
Oh my God.
They were arguing about stupid shit till like 4 a.m. And I was like, I'm going to stay. I want to see what's going to happen. This is fascinating. But like, I still had to get my ass up and go to work the next day.
Yeah, because you needed to report about it. You have a deadline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's just what you got to do.
Yep.
Did you ever see, excuse me, Julie and Julia?
I'm glad we talked about this because I forgot. That was also covered in book versus movie. Stanley Tucci and Meryl Streep work together. And that's like that movie there's a half that movie that's great.
Yes.
And the other half is not great.
Yes. I actually wrote in my notes, I will forever be bummed that the movie wasn't just about them.
I'm sure there's a version of it on YouTube somewhere where it's just their scenes.
The stuff with Meryl Streep as Julia Child and Stanley Tucci as her husband is like the best movie ever. It's like the sweetest love story. Yeah. And Meryl Streep is so amazing as Julia Child. I love that half of the movie and I hate the other half so much.
We should do that movie one day.
We should, but it's such a fascinating movie because I'm like, I can't like outright dismiss it because the part with Meryl Streep and Stanley Tucci so wonderful, and then the other half is just so shitty. God, I hate that half. Anyway, so we should put it on the list.
Question. We should put it on the list because it'd be a good one to talk about. So let me ask you this. Can you think of any Meryl Streep performance you didn't appreciate or you don't think she was the right person for? Or do you think she's always uniformly great?
I think she's kind of always great. I'm like, I can't think of something where she wasn't good.
Even with something stupid, there's a movie called She-Devil.
Oh,
and
I know that movie.
I love that movie, and she's so funny in it. She's hilarious.
And that was a big deal.
But she's great. Yeah.
And that was a big deal because she was Meryl Streep. This is Meryl Streep. She's Sophie's Choice. She's Ironweed or whatever. You know, she's super serious. And then to do a movie like She-Devil, you know, or Death Becomes Her.
Oh, I love Death Becomes Her.
You know, I think she gets more props now for comedy than she used to, and I think Devil Wears Prada probably plays a part in that because she's so great in this. But you know, she's also really great in like even Mamma Mia, which is, you know, just a trifle, like a silly light movie. She's really great in it. She's awesome.
I love those movies, those Mamma Mia movies.
I've watched them both. I watched the second one on an airplane, and I was like, oh, this is like a perfect airplane movie. It's made to play on airplanes.
Airplanes, or just like when you're folding laundry.
Yeah.
It's like it's the best thing ever. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you could just hum along while you're doing something else.
Because I think about her movies, I'm like, she's just done everything, and like every accent, and she's played like very famous people that you know how they look and they sound, and she's super convincing. Like I can't think of a bad Meryl Streep performance.
No, she's Meryl Streep. Meryl fucking Streep.
Meryl motherfucking Streep.
Woo. I read that at one point they talked about maybe Glenn Close playing Miranda Priestley.
And she would have been good.
Yeah, she would have been good too. And then of course like everyone and their brother was considered for like Anne Hathaway's part, I think.
Yeah.
But I think the big one was they really wanted Rachel McAdams, who had just done The Notebook and Mean Girls, but she said no. So they got Anne Hathaway.
And I think that's part of Anne Hathaway's charm, is like she works really hard. Like you can see her.
Yeah.
She doesn't half-ass things. Like she really puts herself into it. And I think that's kind of like what's really fun about her in this movie. Like she just appears to be harried and working hard all the time.
And I think that's true of Anne Hathaway in every movie.
And I think that's part of her personality. And I think like sometimes she gets teased for that because she just kind of comes across as like that girl in school who was really pretty, really popular, and really smart. And she was on all the teams, and she was the captain of all the teams and all the clubs. And like after a while, it's like, okay, that'll do, you know?
Yeah, you're fine now. You're fine.
Yeah.
That'll do, pig. Everything's fine. But she
gets that reference.
I'm like, I say it all the time.
Me
People
too.
are like, "Did you just call me a pig?" I'm like,
I
"No,
do too.
not
I do too.
not really." I'm like, "But sort of,
It's
yeah."
from Babe.
Come on, God, I love Babe. I need to show Babe to my kid.
Oh, he'll love it. That's a great movie.
God, I love that movie. Do you have anything else you want to talk about with this movie before I talk about our top 10 movies from 2006? You have lots of stories.
I have lots of. I think I gave them all. I actually have the songs from June 2006.
Ooh, I want to hear them.
So I never know how to say it. Is it Chameleonaire? But it's riding. They see me rolling.
Oh,
they hating.
Every time I hear that song, all I think of is the Weird Al version. White and Nerdy.
White and Nerdy.
So
with Donny Osmond and Jeff Green.
So when White and Nerdy came out, no joke, the video came out and I got like 20 emails that day from friends who were like, "I saw this and thought of you." And I was like, I had to go on Facebook and I was like, yes, you guys, I have seen White and Nerdy. Stop sending it to me.
So Margo, my co-host for Book versus Movie, she was in a Richard Simmons video, and we were both fitness instructors. That's how we met. And she was in his last big video, his last big push, and then he disappeared. And then they had Missing Richard Simmons, the podcast. Mm-hmm. And she was like, "Oh my God, every day, all day, people keep texting me. Have you seen this? Do you know about this?" She's like, "Yes, I don't know where Richard is. I was just in a video."
That is so funny. Anyway, other songs.
So we have Hips Don't Lie from Shakira.
Good one.
Promiscuous from Nelly Furtado.
Mm-hmm.
I love that song. And then this song drove me fucking crazy. I hated it so much. James Blunt, You're Beautiful.
Oh, God. That's another one that just, I always think of the spoof because a friend of mine loved the spoof. It was called like My Cubicle. Like, I like spoofs.
Yeah. And then Top TV.
Mm-hmm.
24, which I never watched.
Oh, I did. For a while, and then I bailed.
Arrested Development.
Awesome.
American Idol.
I watched so much American Idol.
Did you really?
I watched it until Simon left, and then I bailed. I watched it all the time. I was super into it. I used to vote. And people were like, "I can't believe you're voting." And I was like, "Well, I watched the show. Why wouldn't I vote? I just sat through the whole fucking thing. Why wouldn't I vote?" I don't know why you would watch it and not vote, but unless you watch it. Yeah.
No, anyway. That's participation I get.
I'm into it. I won't watch the new one.
No, I never watched any of those. And then Dancing with the Stars. That's when it first started.
I never watched Dancing with the Stars, which is weird because I used to love So You Think You Can Dance.
Oh, yeah, that's a good show.
But I never watched Dancing with the Stars ever.
My parents loved it the first couple of seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they were so into it.
Yeah. I never watched The Bachelor or The Bachelorette either, and I know people love it.
No.
That's just not my thing. I do miss, like, before Trump was a thing, everyone used to just live tweet, like, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. And I was like, this is what Twitter was for. I was like, I don't even watch that shit. I just love reading people's tweets about it because it was so funny. But now, like, stuff like that seems downright adorable, so nobody hate watches anything anymore.
No, it's all about escapism now.
Yeah. So do we want top 10 movies or?
Yes.
Okay. So number 10 was Happy Feet. Have you ever seen Happy Feet?
I haven't in a long time, but I have seen it.
I have seen parts of it because my son was watching it for a while. I don't know what the fuck that movie is. Like, it is weird. I think that movie's weird. And it's directed by George Miller, same guy who did Mad Max Fury Road, which fascinates me.
Wow.
Weird. I'm telling you, that movie's fucking bonkers. I don't get it. Superman Returns. Mm-hmm. Not very good. Mission Impossible 3.
I like the Mission Impossible movies.
I do too. I think they're very entertaining.
Yeah.
The X-Men: The Last Stand. I'm like, meh. Cars. That's Pixar's movie, Cars.
Yeah.
Which I didn't see in the theater, but now I've seen probably 1,000 times because I have a 7-year-old. Night at the Museum. Casino Royale.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. Ice Age, The Meltdown. I don't watch the Ice Age movies. The Da Vinci Code.
Oh God, that movie. That book. Oh.
I remember a friend of mine was reading the Da Vinci Code, but he was embarrassed, so he like took the sleeve jacket off. I was like, you don't have to pretend with me. It's okay. You could read the Da Vinci Code.
That's the great thing about a Kindle is nobody can tell what you're reading.
That's true.
You have so much privacy, so you can just read whatever crap you like. Because I like really crappy autobiographies. I gobble those up, and like from Kiss or you know. Like,
oh my God, like you and my sister could be best friends too. Like I was just reading the autobiography of Valerie Bertinelli, and I'm like, what? Yeah. She loves that stuff.
Oh yeah, Brooke Shields. I've read them all.
Yeah, she reads them too, and I was like, just give me the quick hits. Tell me the good stuff. And then number 1 was Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest.
Is that the first one or the second one or the third one?
Fuck if I know. That could be like 5 or 6. I don't know. That's another
really
one.
The first one.
I love the first one, and then
didn't
like the second one, so didn't see any of the other ones after that.
Same here.
I also made a list of some other ones that are like better movie or like other movies.
Okay.
The Departed.
Oh yeah.
Little Miss Sunshine. Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh, that's a weird one.
Yeah. I thought this Step Up.
Step Up? What's Step Up?
The dance movie with Channing Tatum.
Oh, yeah.
Snakes on a Plane.
Yep.
Borat. Idiocracy, which we're living in right now. Idiocracy. And then I couldn't believe this one. The Prestige. Not to be confused with The Illusionist. And The Illusionist also came out, not to be confused with The Prestige. Did you see?
We covered The Prestige.
Yeah. Is The Illusionist on a book too?
I don't remember that. The people really like The Prestige book. I personally did not. I think the movie's entertaining, but I don't think it's like a masterpiece or anything.
Yeah. I know I saw both of those movies, and I don't know if I could tell them apart. I know that I think Edward Norton's in The Illusionist. And who's in The Prestige? Is it Hugh Jackman?
It's Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's all I remember. And then there's some Prestige and some illusions. That's all I remember.
There's some magic and shit like that.
That's why I didn't like it. I don't like magicians. I think they're creepy.
I think magicians are creepier than clowns.
I went to a party last year for work, and there was a magician there, and I was like, I didn't want any part of him. I stayed on the other side of the room, and my boss was like, did you go over and like do card tricks with the magician? I'm like, fuck no. I don't like magicians. I'm like, I don't even want to talk to him. I think they're creepy.
They're very creepy.
And they try too hard. They're like, pick a card. I'm like, get away from me. No. I hate them. Anyway. Not Steve Martin. If Steve Martin does magic, then I love it. But if anyone else, no. What else are you dorking out about?
So yesterday, because of what you were talking about on Twitter, I started Hulu. I started Thrill, starring Aidy Bryant. And it's 6 episodes, and I just tore right through them. I just watched one after the other. She's so great.
I love Shrill so much. It was on my dorking out list as well. I hardly ever binge anything. I'm notoriously slow to get through things. And I watched all of those in 2 days.
Well, it helps that they're only like 24 minutes apiece. Yeah. So you can get through it in an afternoon quickly. But it's so well written. Julia Sweeney's in there. Like there's Daniel Stern's in there. There's this great part where she has this boyfriend that's kind of a loser, but you kind of like him anyway. And there's a part where he takes care of the dog for the afternoon.
Oh my God.
I laughed so hard.
I literally LOL'd.
Oh yeah.
Throughout the whole thing.
That cracked me. I'm not going to give away the joke, but it was so funny. So
yeah.
That, and then I also started watching. Netflix just dropped Queer Eye. It used to be Queer Eye for Straight Guy, but they just call it Queer Eye now. A couple of those episodes, I mean, you're just bawling your eyes out. Yep. I mean, they find the best stories.
I am definitely going to be watching that. My husband and I we've watched all the other ones, and it's just like the perfect time for Queer Eye right now. It is like such good therapy TV, because it reminds you of the humanity of like people and like how good people can be. And I just love Queer Eye so much. I'm gonna start crying just thinking about it, because I think every episode makes me cry. Like every episode.
They find the best people. So in this one, they're going through the Midwest. They're based in Kansas City, but they have these stories all over the Midwest. And they have this one where this woman, she's 23, she's African American, she lives in Lawrence, Kansas, and she's a lesbian. And when she was 16, she came out to her adopted family, and they kicked her out of the house. Oh. And she was like staying with friends and stuff like that. And then one of the guys from Queer Eye said, yeah, I was kicked out when I was 15. I know exactly what you're going through. And I start crying, because like they're totally relating to one another, because it's, you know what I mean? Like it's just like there's so much, and the way they help each other, and she gets in touch with her sister again. And it's just, it used to be very like specific. They had a straight guy and they had these queer guys, right? Yeah. And it was, and I loved it. I was totally into the show, but they're a lot more about, it doesn't matter the person they're making over, if they're gay or straight or whatever, you know, it's finding a good story and then helping that person be their best selves, using fashion, using hair, using like stuff like that, but in a way that's like not shallow. It's like, I'm helping you identify yourself and show the world who you are, which is beautiful.
And I think the first one really was more like, and then we put a coat of paint in your apartment and look how great it looks. Where I really feel like this one is like what you said. It's more of a makeover, like a complete makeover, like for their soul, like for their life. You know, there's a lot more like trying to understand where they are in their lives and what's going to work best for them, and like helping them overcome obstacles and things like that I don't think the other ones dealt with, unless they did in later episodes. But God, I love
it. Was very over the top. It was a different time.
Yeah.
It was actually a big deal to have like 5 gay guys.
For sure.
You know, interacting with one straight dude and their families and stuff like that. I will say this. Like, I love the new Queer Eye. I love everybody there. The guy, is it Anthony? Is that how you put it? The guy that does the food. Yes. He does not know how to cook. That is such. It is the phoniest of balonies when he is trying to show people how to cook things. I'm like, I call bullshit.
I think that's a running thing. I don't know if anybody believes that Anthony can cook.
Oh, he had one of this gorgeous couple, and they have like this big farm, and he's like, oh, you have squash. You cut it and you cook it with olive oil and some lemon juice and some salt and pepper. I'm like, really? Like,
thanks.
He does it like really over the top. I mean, he's so cute, and they're all so cute and sweet. Like, but it's just like, that's the one thing. Like, whenever he's giving advice, I'm like, oh, shut up. Go to the other ones.
Have you tried putting popcorn in the microwave? What? Thanks, Anthony.
Oh my God. They had this one with those women that they were selling their own barbecue sauce, and they have a secret sauce and they have a secret ingredient to their sauce, and they're going to mass market it. And so they're going to a place, and he can't figure out what the secret to the soup, and he just names things after all. He's like, it could be cumin, or it could be apple, or it could be molasses. I'm not quite sure. I'm like, you're just saying things now.
It could be marijuana.
It could be anything. Right,
it could be
LSD?
bleach.
I don't know. I'm trying to test it. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, oh, simmer down.
Yeah. That'll do, pig.
That'll do, pig. But but he's also just so adorable. Everybody drink.
Yeah.
They're also adorable and just so empathetic. I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of empathy that happens, and it's that human connection. There's this one guy that they give him like the Jon Snow makeover, and they cut his hair, and he just looks so handsome, and you just get, I don't want to ruin it, but it's very heartwarming.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it. That's definitely at the top of our list. Every season that starts, my husband is like, let's do it, and we watch them.
Yep.
We get through them pretty fast, actually. Good list. Where can people find you on the internet, Margo?
The blessed.
Hashtag blessed.
The best thing to find me on social media is at Brooklyn Fit Chick, and mostly on Twitter and Instagram. And I have a blog, brooklynfitchick.com.
And you can find me at thesoniashow.com and on Twitter and Facebook at The Sonia Show. And you can find Dorking Out at dorkingout.com and on Twitter and Facebook at Dorking Out Show. And this was super fun, as always. I love talking about The Devil Wears Prada with you.
I felt like we girded our loins.
I think so, too. Now I'm going to go throw up and hit my goal weight.
I'm going to poop my goal weight just any second now.
Just recording this podcast gave me diarrhea.